The old man lived deep in the forest where the trees grew so thick they blotted out the sun. His cabin was small, weathered, and hidden from the world. He liked it that way. After his wife passed, he'd left the town behind, seeking solitude among the pines. But lately the forest had begun to change. It started with the whispers. At first he thought it was the wind, rustling through the leaves, but the sounds grew clearer, more deliberate, soft murmuring voices that seemed to come from the shadows. They called his name Elias. Elias, in tones that were both soothing and menacing. Elias tried to ignore them. He busied himself with chopping wood, tending his garden and repairing the cabin's sagging roof. But the whispers followed him, growing louder at night, creeping into his dreams. One evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Elias heard a knock at his door. He froze, his heart pounding. No one ever came this deep into the forest. The knock came again, louder this time, more insistent. Elias grabbed his rifle and approached the door, his hands trembling. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice cracking. No answer. He opened the door slowly, the hinges creaking. The forest was silent, the air thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. There was no one there. But on the ground, just beyond the threshold, was a small blackened handprint. Elias slammed the door shut and locked it, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He told himself it was an animal, a trick of the light, but deep down, he knew better. That night, the whispers returned, louder than ever. They seeped through the cracks in the walls, filling the cabin with their eerie chorus. Elias covered his ears, but the voices were inside his head now, echoing, taunting. "Elias, we've been waiting for you." He grabbed his rifle and stumbled outside, desperate to escape. The forest was alive, the trees swaying unnaturally, their branches clawing at the sky. The whispers surrounded him, guiding him deeper into the woods. And then he saw them. Shadows, moving between the trees. They were tall and thin, their forms shifting like smoke. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their mouths stretched into wide, toothless grins. Elias raised his rifle, but his hands were shaking too badly to aim. The shadows closed in, their whispers growing into a deafening roar. He tried to run, but the ground beneath him seemed to shift, pulling him down. The last thing he saw was the cabin, its windows glowing with a faint, greenish light, and then the shadows swallowed him whole. The next morning, the forest was silent. The cabin stood empty, its door hanging open. Inside, the walls were covered in blackened handprints, and the whispers lingered in the air, soft and melodic. Elias was never seen again. But if you ever find yourself deep in the forest, where the trees grow thick and the sun never reaches, you might hear them too, the whispers, calling your name. And if you're not careful, they might lead you to the cabin, and the shadows will be waiting.